I went to a Civil War cemetery and caught something like marching or walking on my live photos. Posted by My Baby Is Cuter Than You. Ghost hunting at Civil War cemetery. I'm a 25-year-old female who loves metal detecting and history. My boyfriend asked if we could walk to this cemetery that's down the road from his house, and I agreed. After he did some metal detecting with me in his backyard, LOL. We both took a gazillion photos, except he has an Android and I have an iPhone, so my camera has live photos turned on, which I didn't really realize until I was looking at them the next morning. If anyone wants the other pictures I took, I will post them, but they're pretty uneventful except for the ones I posted. My boyfriend is a 45-year-old 6'1" guy that was wearing reflective shoes and a jacket while carrying his concealed in his waistline, because I was scared of someone trying to kill us while out there. Anyways, I hope someone sees these, because I don't have anyone to share them with besides my mom and my boyfriend, LOL. Ghost hunting. I used a tombstone that's obviously seen in both live photos as a reference point to the figure. The tombstone I used for reference is circled in yellow. You can clearly see the figure has moved in the second live photo. Edit. Thank you so much for the awards guides. Holy hell, I could cry. Thank you. I recently moved out of my parents' house, and something is angry about it. Posted by Spoopy Goth Bitch. I recently moved out of my childhood home into an apartment with my boyfriend. I haven't moved too far away, just on the other side of town, so I still go and visit my parents regularly when we're not in lockdown. I've always known that my parents' house is haunted. I could feel it. As a kid, I used to walk around the house at night talking to no one, which terrified my mom, but I have no memory of this. I also had awful night terrors and sleep paralysis, which of course could be totally unrelated, but I would always see an old man in the corner of my room just looking at me. When I was 11, we got our first dog. She was a miniature schnauzer and took on the role of my bodyguard almost instantly. She would sleep on my bed most nights, and I'd often wake up to her snarling, teeth bared at that same corner. Then I'd see the man, which always led me to believe that he was really there. My parents never believed the things I would tell them I'd experienced in the house. Lots of strange things happened there, so I might make a separate post about it all. Anyway, fast forward to a few months ago, and I get a frantic call from my mom saying that she was so sorry that she never believed me, and that now even my dad, the biggest skeptic I know, believed there's something in the house. My mom explained that a few weeks after I moved, she and my dad took my old bedroom as it was quieter and a bit bigger. Since moving into that room, she started to suffer with sleep paralysis and saw an old man in the same corner I did. The thing that scared me the most is when she explained that lots of the glass in the house keeps smashing. One Saturday, my dad was cleaning a windowsill, and one of the window segments completely shattered out of nowhere, and he was showered with glass shards. Luckily, he only got a few minor cuts, but he was really shaken. My mom was cooking one night, and a Pyrex jug shattered in her hand. A few glasses have come flying out of the cupboards when opened and smashing on the floor. The list goes on. My mom said that both her and my dad have felt really angry for no reason. They fight more than they used to, and my mom feels like something is watching them. She said the only time the atmosphere lifts is when I come to visit. Maybe something in that house is mad that I left and feels attached or possessive over me. After all, it will have watched me grow up. I feel kind of anxious to visit because I don't want whatever this is to attach itself to me more than it already has. Does anyone have any idea why this might be happening and what we can do to help the situation? I worked in a museum and had some weird things happen. Posted by Patroclus_. So I used to work in a museum a couple of years ago. It was an open-air museum that consists of old houses that were transported from all over the country and placed in one spot. I switched between the spots I worked in, but one of the places I frequently worked in was one of the most remote spots, which was a little city town made out of tall buildings from Europe around the 14th and 16th century. Again, these buildings are originals. They have been transported stone by stone to this spot and rebuilt exactly. So, for my story. I usually was the first one to arrive in the morning, which meant that I opened up the buildings and switched on the lights and stuff like that. But me being often too lazy before my first cup of coffee, usually walked around in the dark to go grab my coffee and go to the toilet first. The toilets were on the second floor, and our little kitchen was a hidden room on the third floor. And oftentimes when I was at the toilets, I would hear footsteps on the stairs. And then on the third floor, it's all made out of old wood, so they creak a lot. Me, thinking it was probably the cleaning lady arriving, I head towards the third floor and open the door, only to find it empty and dark. I'm not easily scared, so I just shrugged it off and made my coffee and went back downstairs to open for the day. My other colleague arrives about half an hour later, and I ask her about it, and she confirmed that I was the first and only one there that morning. Every time I heard the footsteps then, when I was alone in the morning, I cheerfully greeted my fellow ghost on his way to coffee. As for my second story, this takes place in the same spot. However, not in the same building. During the day, I worked in the museum shop in the old city part, and usually it's pretty busy, so I didn't get much time to go to anything else. But on days that it rained extremely hard, nobody would ever venture far enough into the park to come as far as the old city part. So, on one of those days, when I was extremely bored, I decided to explore the building a bit. This one also consisted of 3 floors. The ground floor was the shop, the first floor was storage, and the second and third floor were supposedly empty. Me, being curious by nature, wanted to see it. So I went up to the first floor and walked up to the door that is the entryway to the stairs to the second floor. The doors are really old, so the only lock on them are these little wooden pieces that you have to slide up, which I did. But as I pulled to open the door, which did open, it suddenly was roughly pulled back closed, which was strange because there was no draft of wind whatsoever. All doors were closed, all windows were too, and I didn't feel or hear any wind. So I tried again, and again it pulled closed. By then I was like, okay, clearly something doesn't want me to go in, so I'll leave it be. I went back downstairs and left it. But later, I asked my other colleague about it, asking if he ever went up there and if the door was maybe locked. I thought maybe I had imagined opening it, but he confirmed it was never locked. But he also said that nobody went up there ever since one of the guards had tried to take their own life there. I hadn't heard about that before, but I told my colleague about what happened to me that day, and he looked very spooked. Apparently, he had been hearing footsteps as well. I believe I saw Queen Victoria. Posted by X Worley. This happened not even an hour ago, so I thought I best post it while the memory is fresh. I work on the Isle of Wight at Albert Cottage. I'm pretty sure it was built around 1840. She definitely spent time here, along with at Osborne House, which is close by. Anyways, it's now converted into a hotel restaurant. The chefs had left, and I was alone in this big kitchen mopping the floors. Previously in this kitchen, I've had small encounters such as a knife being thrown off a side, strange noises and stuff, and I've only been there for 2 weeks. So there I am mopping the floor, when the fly zapper behind me zaps, which is strange because it's nighttime and it zapped for longer than usual, at most 2 seconds. I turned around to look at it, and then behind me I hear a posh muffled voice. I couldn't make out what she said, but it had the tone of a question. Turning around again to face where this voice was coming from, I see a black figure walk behind the oven in front of me. For reference, it was roughly 6 feet tall. I'm 6'4" and was standing almost 2 meters away, so could barely see over the top. This black figure was unmistakably Queen Victoria, even though the glimpse I had was so small. I managed to make out her robes and headwear, all in black due to mourning her dead husband. I was understandably spooked. I finished mopping the floor and took the bins out. After coming back to the kitchen and stepping into the door, I felt like I was being watched. I knew she was there. It felt rude to almost not say anything, so I said, "Hello, Your Majesty," and left.